How do you like your tea?
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Oh, well, in that case, I like it in here, in a cup.
You got it. You want some milk?
Are you mother?
Yes.
Should we explain that expression since it's the first show? In England, you say, I'll be mother. It doesn't mean that you're going to, suckle your companion at your teat. It means that you will actually pour.
Okay, when was the first time you fell in love with theater? And when was the time you fell out of love with theater?
Well, that's a leading question. When I was 3, my mother took me and my older brother to see My Fair Lady at the Mark Hellinger Theater, which is now the Times Square Church. And we sat all the way up in the back. Tickets were 90 cents, cheaper than a movie, cheaper than a babysitter. And this woman, I remember singing, I could have danced all night.
Yeah.
And then there was a stagehand who was stuck behind the balustrade. He was caught in the set change. Those are the 2 things I remember. A woman singing so high and so beautifully, and then somebody getting caught on stage. And for the last 60 years, I've been recreating those 2 moments.
When did you fall out of love?
What makes you think I've fallen out of, would you
Was
be
there a
here?
moment?
You mean like, I'm never doing this again? And then the next day, oh hi, here's what we should do.
Okay, what keeps you up at night?
The end of the world, AI.
Have you experimented with AI yet?
Well, that's kind of a personal question.
Gay eye.
Gay? What makes you say gay?
You're definitely gay. How would you describe the state of the industry in 5 words?
Broadway is just too much, because it's a double entendre. Mm-hmm. It's too much, and also it's too much money to go see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so your writing style is so vast from Peter and the Starcatcher to the let's have another one of these.
Yes,
from
I
the
plan
Cher
to.
Show to Peter and the Starcatcher. How would you describe your writing?
Vast.
Vast.
All I wanted to do, because the first show that I wrote turned out to be successful, and so I got asked to do more. But I didn't want to keep doing the same thing. So I had done sort of a biography show. I didn't want to do another biography show. I had done an adaptation. I didn't want to do another adaptation. But then I realized you can't really, it's a little stupid to walk into a museum and say, oh God, not another rectangular painting. I thought, it's really more about like what's in the painting than the frame. I learned with Water for Elephants that the way that you do an adaptation can be different and exciting and exhilarating. Yeah. So it wasn't just, oh, well, I've adapted something, I don't want to adapt again, was kind of a, oh no, not another rectangular painting kind of stupid observation. So that's my answer. What I try to do things in a different way. A former studio head said to me once about what makes a successful producer, but it's certainly true about anybody who works on Broadway. Yeah. Anybody who works in the arts, maybe? I don't know, but I think there is a certain science to filmmaking that doesn't apply to the theater, but certainly for the theater. Here's what this gentleman said to me years ago. Success is you guess right more than you guess wrong. If there was a formula, then everyone would follow it and everyone would be successful.
Yeah.
So there's obviously no formula. Formulas are for science.
Yep.
Formulas are things that can be proved. Theater is all theoretical. That's why they both begin with THE. That's why it's art instead of science.
Yeah.
And that's why success is only if you guess right more than you guess wrong, because sometimes you're going to say, well, the last time 2 + 2 = 4, so let's do 2 + 2 = 4, and this time it doesn't equal 4, and you're fucked.
Yeah.
And you come up, you write Oklahoma and Carousel in South Pacific, and then you write Allegro. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
Did they just become suddenly stupid? No. Of course, everything that you do, you want to be great.
Yeah.
And then there's all the stuff about theater that doesn't have anything to do with what's on the page or even what's on the stage. It's, did you get the theater at the right time when the director was available? Did you get the star that you wanted? Did you get the star but there was no theater? Did you get the director but there was no star? And much of that is way beyond any individual's control.
Yeah.
So luck has so much to do with it.
Yeah. So who's currently paying you and how are you making money right now?
Oh. Well, that's a very large question. I mean, it's because it's very difficult now as a writer to get paid on Broadway. Some might say it's even baked in that writers don't get paid on Broadway unless it's a monster hit, in which case there's so much money that everybody gets paid.
Yeah.
and this is a problem. We don't want writing to be a hobby. We want writing to be a profession.
Yeah.
We are encouraged to get to work on projects before there is any payment at all.
Yeah.
Then your agent negotiates in advance with producers. Funny word for what it is, because you don't get it in advance. You get it at some subsequent date. And the argument usually goes something along the lines of, well, we can't raise money until you've written the thing because we raise money off of what you do. And so you write it, and then they do a workshop and they raise some money, and then you do another workshop and raise some money, and years go by. And then we'll pay you as soon as we start selling tickets. And then a period of time goes by, and unless George Clooney is starring in your show, or Hugh Jackman, you're asked very quickly, will you be willing to waive your minimum guarantee? Because after all, you don't want to, if we've come this far and you don't want to put 100 people out of work, and of course nobody wants to put 100 people out of work, and you have come a long way and you have a lot of skin in the game now because you've actually gone through the process and you want people to come and see your show. So it's quite easy. Here I am, the living proof. It's quite easy to have shows open on Broadway back to back at big Broadway theaters and get a lot of attention and still not to be able to be paid. Subsidiary rights is always good.
Yeah.
If you have a show that is being licensed, a show that I wrote with Marshall Brickman and Andrew Lippa, for example, called The Addams Family, is a very, very popular licensed title. I think it's, for the last 8 years, it's been the #1 most licensed title in North America, something crazy like that. So that's my long-winded, answer to your question, how do you get paid?
Yeah. Then when did you get into advertising?
I was acting in a musical called The Death of von Richthofen as Witnessed from Earth. Catchy title.
Really?
But this show was built to move to Broadway. It was a huge show at the Newman Theater. The critic from the New York Times, who was this fellow called Frank Rich, came to see it, and he didn't care for it. Now, Joe Papp had this habit of getting up on a chair and reading the review from the New York Times aloud on opening night at the party.
Oh my God.
Whether it was good or bad.
The whole review?
Whether it was good or bad.
Oh my God.
I was online, as Joe was reading, behind a guy who started chatting with me while I was, waiting to get to the food. And this guy turned out to be a fellow named Matthew Serino.
Yes.
And Matthew Serino said, he started chatting with me, and I started chatting back, and I was being kind of, amusing. And he said, hey, my partner is away for the summer. And I need some funny headlines, and you seem like a funny guy. Can you come up and write some funny headlines? And I said, I don't write funny headlines, I'm an actor. Can't you tell from my bleached blonde hair that I'm playing? You just watched me for 2.5 hours in this musical. And he said, oh, that's too bad, because I would pay you $100. And so I said, for $100, I'll grow another head for you, Matthew. And I didn't know whether I could write headline or not. I didn't really know what a headline was. There was the big print. So the following Monday, I walked to 45th Street and Broadway, where Serino Cohen was. There were 10 people there, and Matthew said, here, let me introduce you to Marvin Hamlish. He needs some lines for this thing he's doing. And then this is Jim Warren. He's the art director for Annie, and we need like funny headlines for Annie. And it turned out that writing funny headlines is like writing a postcard. You have a small amount of space. You want to say something memorable, amusing, witty, punny, all the things, all the adjectives for me.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Matthew said, well, can you come back tomorrow? And I thought, well, he's paying me $100, I guess I can come back tomorrow. So I came back the next day and the next day and the next day, and then on Friday I said, look, Matthew, I've had a great time, but I need to be free for auditions. So he said, oh, okay, and he gave me a check for $500. He meant $100 a day.
Oh my God.
So I said, naturally enough, I can come back next week. He said, no, I don't need you to come back because my partner is coming back. So I thought, oh, well, I had spent a week in advertising. And then at the end of the following week, I had a call from this woman, Nancy Coyne. I went up to the office and she was in a meeting. So instead of just sitting there, I went down to Frank Verlizzo's office, and he said, I need some headlines. So I was writing some headlines, and then eventually Nancy called me into her office, and Frank came in and showed her the ads, and she said, who wrote this? And he said, well, that guy over there, while he was waiting. So she said, oh, well, you're hired.
Okay, fun times. Reddit says.
What's Reddit?
Reddit. It's an internet chat board.
Yes,
you know where that.
Yes, I'm
Broadway Reddit. I'm pretty sure Rick Elice and Bob Martin's book for the musical Smash is at least partially inspired by the messy backstage drama of the 2022 Funny Girl revival. So Rick, is that true?
No, the script was written before 2022.
Okay, so that is debunked. Okay, fuck, marry, kill. You know this game.
Oh, fuck, marry, kill. I thought, fuck, who's Mary?
Fuck, marry, kill. The shows you've written.
Which of my shows would I fuck?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I don't think about having sex with my shows. I would definitely fuck Smash.
Yes.
And I would definitely marry Peter and the Starcatcher. And and the ones I would kill, sorry, can't say it.
Can't say?
No, can't say it.
Okay.
But it should be obvious to anybody.
Answer the question or sip your tea. So if you don't want to answer, just give it a sip. Here we go. The relationship between Bebe Neuwirth and Nathan Lane. The early closing of Smash.
The early closing of Smash was a heartbreak. I mean, especially for me because, incidentally, my mother was dying at the same time that the show was dying, and you know, I couldn't really, I couldn't be with her as much as I wanted to until the show opened, and then a month after the show opened, my mother was gone. But so I got to spend every day with her for the last month of her life, which was obviously meaningful to me. But it was a very, very dark time for me. And April 10th, when we opened the show and we were at the party and they were walking around holding the review from Jesse Green, which was this, you know, amazing rave review, and Stroh was there and she was so happy, you know, it was like, she said, it's the best review since The Producers, and we thought, oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
And I thought, wonderful, thank you God, now I'm just gonna go and look after my mom.
Yeah.
And then people just didn't buy tickets.
The most dramatic exit you've seen of a production.
This is so easy. Andrei Serban's production of The Cherry Orchard. Irene Worth's exit at the end, she's playing Madame Ranovskaya, and she has to leave the homestead that they've, through stupidity and tradition, have let slip through their fingers. And she, instead of just exiting, she ran a figure eight, and another figure eight, and another figure eight, inhaling. And to watch her do that, I mean, I can burst into tears just now telling you about it. It was so powerful, unspoken, and got like a 3-minute round from the audience.
Why is the Princess Bride musical taking so long?
It's been really, really hard to get right. It's because it's a tricky thing. Bill Goldman, the late great Bill Goldman, who was alive when I started working on it, even had to give it up.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a story, it's actually a few stories. So it took us a long time to get it right. It took us a long time to put together the right group of people.
Yeah.
And it looks like maybe we have done that now.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. What's the show you wish you could go back and rewrite?
Oh, well, there was a show that Marshall Brickman and Tommy Toon and I did at the Goodman Theater called Turn of the Century, which was hilarious. Yeah. Jeff Daniels and Rachel York. It was a great, great show with a really brilliant comic engine. And it seemed to be going really, really well. And then, I don't know, the local critic there didn't like it. And so everybody sort of lost interest. But that one, I mourn that one not coming, because we knew what to do to get it over the finish line for New York, but we never got a chance to do it.
Okay. Where are the bodies buried?
What bodies do you mean? I'm still, I don't know, not here. None of them are buried here.
You say that all the time. You're like, I know where the bodies are buried.
No, I know where all the bodies are buried, but.
And now, steep thoughts.
I was very, very lucky in my life to fall in love with and spend the large, number of years of my life loved by somebody who was really a great artist and a great man of the theater. I'm not a great artist or a great man of the theater. I'm just a worker. I like working and I work hard and I'm smart. I have good ideas, but Roger was a wonderful guy, and he, because life is horrible and unfair, was struck down by terminal brain cancer out of the blue at a relatively young age, and the doctor said, you know, he's got 9 months to live. He was about to do a musical with Cheetah Rivera. He'd made it his business to do it, so they didn't have to cancel the show because he and Cheetah had become such great pals, and it would have fallen apart if it started to fall apart. So Roger kept it a secret from everyone except the producers and Cheetah, and was performing until 5 weeks before he died. And then in the 5 weeks after, he had to leave the show because he could no longer actually get the parts of his part out of his mouth, because brain cancer is like that. You know, he was unable to continue, and we sat here in this room and waited for the inevitable, and it was horrible. And one day, when he was still able to speak, he said to me, "Just be kind and jolly. That's all that matters." I mean, if that didn't sum up his life. So I try now. It's so easy to get upset, God knows, and we have so many great reasons to be angry and furious and shout at the wind and picket and march and scream and fight. But if we, in the midst of doing all of that, can just remember to be kind and jolly, that really is, I think, a prescription for some kind of happiness in life. And so I tip my hat to the late great Roger Rees and tell you what he told me, because I'm not clever enough to come up with a fortune cookie line. You know,
be kind and jolly. That's
all that matters.
Great. Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you, Mother.
Mother.